Welcome to Season 4 of the Bird Joy Podcast. Your hosts, Dexter Patterson and Jason Hall, are back with more birds, more bird joy, and plenty of laughs along the way. Each episode brings new stories, fun conversations, and a whole flock of good vibes. We're happy you're here. We really miss the homies, and we hope you enjoy this season. You ready? Let's go.
All right, folks, today's guest is somebody whose work sits beautifully at the intersection of art, birds, science, and care for community. Casey Girard is an autistic artist, illustrator, naturalist, educator, and birder based in Asheville, North Carolina. You see, I said North Carolina. Casey studied illustration and graphic design at RIT and began their career in children's publishing before moving into freelance illustration, education, and community science. Over the years, their path has included working as a substitute teacher and librarian, leading bird walks, and serving as a docent at the Jasper Ridge Biological Preserve. Today, Casey's life and work reflect two passions for art and science grounded in motherhood, education, and time spent in protected natural spaces. Many of you will recognize Casey's work from their powerful Blackbirders illustrations in their Blackbirders Week art that featured both Jason and I. They are also the artists behind Backyard Birds, the 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, and has collaborated with organizations like Bird Collective, Field Inclusive, Pomegranate, and the Feminist Bird Club. Most recently, Casey partnered with the Feminist Bird Club of Asheville on a hurricane relief sweatshirt design that has raised over $11,000, selling 519 sweatshirts against the original goal of 300. And every dollar of that campaign goes directly to beloved Asheville. This episode is about art as refuge, birds as teachers, and what it looks like to give back when your community needs you the most. Casey, welcome to the Bird Joy Podcast.
Thank you all for having me.
You're very welcome.
You're very welcome.
Is it definitely recording me too?
It is. It is.
I mean, you are
good.
You are officially on the podcast, homie. You are officially on there.
Well, thank you all for having me here. I don't know. You all are so amazing. You bring so much joy, and I don't know, make such a wonderful community of birders.
Yeah, well, you bring us a lot of joy. You bring us a lot of joy. You wear a lot of hats, Casey. Artist, naturalist, educator, birder. When you think back to your earliest memories, where did art first enter your life?
I definitely was always drawing. I remember drawing with my grandmother. I really wanted to draw all the animals, and I wanted to draw them biggest to smallest. Didn't realize or understand the rigid thinking around that. And we never could finish because we'd get distracted by giraffe. And I wish I had been able to draw what was exciting as opposed to having to go in order. But I think that's funny. But I remember when I was 8, I watched somebody draw something really good in my class. And I was like, that's awesome. How did they do that? And I was determined that I wanted to be able to do that too. So
love it. Love it.
It's definitely always been animals, not always birds.
Yeah. And I'm trying to imagine 8-year-old Casey just looking around and being like, oh man, this is going to be a journey. You know, that's really cool. Was there a moment within that where you felt like that was a refuge or a safe place, the art? Was it purely, I think some kids, thinking about my own son right now, like it started with just the colors. And now I realize that he goes to art when he needs to deload, when he needs to have quiet time. He goes and puts his headphones on, and he literally got his gifts for Christmas were reams of printer paper and crayons and markers. And our family didn't believe that that's what he wanted. And he goes and he 2 hours, that's his. Did you ever have a moment where you realized that art was like that for you?
Oddly, I don't know that it was. I mean, I've always been interested in drawing. I guess it helped me focus when I was in school. And I remember my English teacher was really in high school, had just pieces of paper for us. She's like, I know you're going to need to draw while you're listening to me teach. So please draw.
Oh, and wow.
It kind of stabilizes my mind so that I'm able to listen better. So it's I feel like I'm a weird artist in that I do love drawing. I think drawing really expresses me better than my words do. And I don't know if it's because of my autism or dyslexia precisely, but it's more just like a better way for me to express. Again, because I get so rigid. Like I think about, again, I had a coloring book. It was the Lion King coloring book. And I was so excited about that coloring book. But I would not allow myself to draw outside of from start to finish. And I got frustrated. I think I didn't finish because I was like, well, you have to do it this way. And I think I've had a lot of rigid problems of like, this is how you're supposed to draw. And it's kind of slowed me down, I think, actually. Which is funny that I now paint on leaves. I'm like, I'm not doing any of the rules. I'm just gonna do it exactly how I want to.
Yeah, I got two of them hanging in my office right here. Cedar waxwing and a painted bunting. Two of my favorite pieces.
Love it. Casey, did birds show up early in your life, or did they come a little later on? I'm just curious.
They were later. I've definitely always enjoyed nature. Like I spent a lot of time on my great grandmother's farm by myself, because that's just what we did on the weekends. I'm like, I remember a bobcat being like, and snakes. Like that was really, like I was really into nature, but it wasn't precisely birds. I really started seeing more birds. My mom became a birder in 2012. And so she, wanted her kids to follow along. So she helped us have feeders. And I had the feeders, and we had gone to some national wildlife refuges. At this time, we lived in California, and going to the Sacramento area national wildlife refuges is pretty spectacular because it's tens of thousands of geese. So I had seen that, but it still had not sparked my birding. But then the January, right before she was coming, 100 pine siskins came into my yard. And I mean, we lived in a very tiny postage stamp of a yard, but there were 100 pine siskins on all of our trees. And it just was, my brain just could not process how there could be that many birds on my tiny little yard everywhere.
Best.
And that's when it happened. I was like, wow, it really is a spark. Because my mom came after that. Yeah. And she was like, I was like, just explain the sparrows. And we drove in, we had gotten 50 yards into the wildlife refuge, which is miles of auto tour. And I was like, let's just look at these sparrows, explain white-crowned, golden-crowned, and Lincolns. And then we found a fox sparrow. I mean, we just spent an hour looking at just the sparrows.
It happens like that sometimes, doesn't it? It's just you find a spot and the vibe is right and the birds are there, and it's I hate rushing off of a spot when as long as you have the time, it's there's still another 7 miles of drivable trail, but the fox sparrow is right here.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many sparrows right here.
I know it's
foggy anyway.
Yeah, you
really
start
just
to
need this.
Yeah, and I usually find that taking that time to just sit with that stuff usually makes the rest of the outing good too, because you kind of you get to a place of well, I've already won. I've already got 4 species of sparrow, so whatever else I see on this auto tube lure is incredible. That's a great. I didn't realize it was the connection out west there, right? Which also is a little bit for me too. So let's switch gears a little bit. So you studied illustration and graphic design at RIT. And looks like you got started in some children's publishing. In that early professional work, did that really kind of guide you in teaching you about storytelling through images, or was there another way that you came to that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've been studying, I feel children's illustration for a very long time. I even still have a children's illustrating critique group. And then I took classes up through 2023, just trying to help my brain think about how to tell stories. I still don't feel like I've really landed on the story I need to tell. But it still helped me with my the small amount of writing I do on my Instagram posts with my bird illustrations. But I feel like the birds were much more helpful in me explaining or sharing what I'm trying to share. I think children's books are awesome, and I'm really grateful I got to work in that industry. I mostly marketed other people's books, which is totally fine. But that's I feel like I mostly helped other folks launch versus myself.
Yeah, sometimes that's how you learn, right? You watch others do things, and I'm one of those people that I love that kind of part of the process sometimes, as long as you accept it and you find value in it of I'm going to help this other person do this thing, and I'm going to do my part well and learn some things. So did that shape any way that you communicate some complex ideas? Did you, coming into what you're doing now, is there anything you brought from that experience into what you do now?
I mean, yes, probably. I don't know that I have it like formulated as to what exactly it was. Mm-hmm. I think it's just that's how I was maintaining the work of drawing through that time, right? Like,
okay. Yeah.
That's kind of how I was working for that time. But that's kind of, I think, why children's books hasn't worked for me. I still haven't figured out how to make a story. Like and that's kind of been another part of the journey. Like I was sure in 2017, I was getting back into children's books. I'm like, okay, my kids are older. I can start trying to work on this again. And I went to this really beautiful children's retreat in Minnesota. I was like up above Duluth. It was amazing. So I'm there at the end of August, and I did nothing but bird the whole time I was there. And as I was there, I was like, I think I'm not supposed to be working on children's books right now. I'm supposed to be birding.
Touche.
Yeah. Like, I love it. The first day was all warblers, and then there were loons and bald eagles. And I like took pictures of everything. And the people at the retreat were like, oh, this is the picture we've been trying to get of the birds. And I'm like, well, you finally had a birder show up. And that
Casey, your path later, it took you into classrooms and libraries and eventually bird walks. How did teaching and guiding others change the way you see your own art?
I really like sharing experiences with people. And like, even when I'm out birding and if I see something rare, I'm almost immediately on the phone being like, oh my gosh, there's a rare bird here. Like I fail to sometimes take a picture or anything because I just want to make sure people know there's a bird. And so it seemed really clear. It's like, this is something to share and like bring other people into. It's so exciting to see how other people are excited with you. Like I've definitely had people be like, you've helped me see the birds. And that's so cool to be like, yes, they're out here all the time. And you just have to start paying attention.
I love that. I love that. And I, I think about your artwork often more now because I see things on social media and I find that your social media presence causes me to think differently before I go out birding. If that makes any sense. Because I'll see you flip a leaf over of a bird that I might see that day. And then when I see that bird, I'm actually kind of like, oh man, yeah, like seeing that, just that, 10 or 20 seconds, makes me kind of puts me into a space. And it's interesting you say that, right? Because you're kind of doing that through your social media, is like getting other people excited about birds, even though it may not be a live bird. It may be a representation of art. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Speaking of your art, you've created some really powerful illustrations of Black birders and Latino conservationists, including Dexter and I. And I got to say, thank you, because we look good. We look good. And folks have been following, like we used Casey's artwork for our show art for this podcast. So you can see that at our podcast page. But how did you end up doing that? Did you just start drawing folks and sliding in the DMs? Like, how did that work? Because you've illustrated some incredible people in an incredible way. And like, just talk us through some of that beginning journey.
Definitely was sliding into people's DMs and like just asking like, hey, do you trust me to do this? Which people did. And I'm honored that so many people trusted me to like hold space with them and represent them. Because it's really scary to draw people's faces, even though it's actually how I started illustrating. Like I was sure I was going to be a caricature artist. Like that's what I wanted to do. So I've actually always drawn faces. Yeah. Like I've done a lot of caricaturing. Like that was what I would do as my side job in college. But it never was like the really cartoony. It was always almost like a exaggerated portrait, which I think is interesting. So I've always really liked faces. And I also really like neuroscience. And I've read a lot of Oliver Sacks. And I'm kind of obsessed with prosopagnosia, which is face blindness, where you can't see faces. And what I think interesting about it is if you get prosopagnosia, you can also lose your ability to identify birds. And so I wonder if there's something in my brain that like really likes that understanding of a face and then birds. And it's like, so I transitioned from faces to birds. So I think for me to draw people and then their bird together was a really nice way to like share people and get people to like maybe make their own connection of like, this is a person that's here and loves the same thing as you. And they're a fantastic, awesome person. And like, just slow down and be present with them and birds and realize we're all here together and have similar joys and similar desires to bring forward into the world.
When you reached out to me and we were talking a little bit, when you first started doing those, you had mentioned that doing those illustrations of all the blackbirders and different things kind of lit a spark back in you again and got you back into your art. How did that make you feel to just like get back in the groove again on something so powerful like that?
Yeah. I mean, every single one of those, I mean, it would take me hours to draw each illustration. And I was like, really wanted to make sure I captured your all's faces correctly and that it looked like you. And I mean, I've been drawing for a long time, but it had never really captured people per se. I don't know. I kind of had just reached a point where I was like, fine, that's how it will be. But at that time, I really just wanted to figure out how to participate as a better community member. And I don't know, it just felt like a moment of like, wait, this is something I can do. Like I'm in a space where I can put the time into this moment. And this is how I can give back and be present for this. Cause like, I don't know. When I started drawing the portraits, it was like, I just wanted to help however I could. And it felt like a way that I could give back.
Beautiful.
It's incredible. And I got to say, like a lot of we all saw them circulating from different folks, right? And we didn't know, like nobody, like I didn't know who you were at first. I just started to see I saw Karina's, I saw some other folks and I was like, oh man, like who's doing this? This is great. Like as I started to learn about you, I was just like, oh, this is awesome. And it's it was a point of pride. And I would have to say, I think a lot of folks felt pride to know that you spent time doing that. They felt pride and they felt heard, I think, in some ways, right? Of like, this person is spending hours drawing my face and my bird. And I think we all knew based on the way you were doing it, that was your contribution to what we were trying to do, and even, the first Blackbirders Week, I was a participant. I wasn't the organizer or anything. So just seeing that was like, oh, wow. Like, we are out here. And part of that was seeing your portraits kind of across the Blackbirdiverse, right? We can call it, right? And so like, did you get feedback from folks as you were starting to circulate those images at first? Like, were people seeking you out? Like, how did that feel as people started to get back to you on what you were doing?
Jeffrey Ward is really who I talked to first. I was talking to him the most, and he put me in touch with Deja and Alex, and he helped me connect to them. And I mean, so it was really him who showed that I was being serious and helped validate that I wasn't just like somebody trying to gain my own notoriety in that moment, because I wasn't.
Sure.
It was like I'd come to this, I'd had somebody ask me before this happened, because I was struggling, right? It's like, as an artist, you're there is a part goal to be like, I want to be out there. I want people to see my art, and I want to be able to succeed with my art. And I had a person ask me, would you really stop making art if it never made it anywhere? And I was like, no, I'm always going to do this. And it really doesn't matter the outcome on that end. I just want to make art to communicate into community. So that definitely helped me know this is the right decision. I'm going to do this. And this is what I want to do. I'm so happy to have, I was so like that. I think that was, I mean, as a white person in that moment, I was like, how do we actually help? Because I think as much as we can talk to each other as white person to discuss all of the complexities of the US and its issues, having good, actionable, positive items to provide is complicated. And I was like, this is a way that I can do something that is positive and beneficial.
It was. I think another thing that I loved, as Jason talked about all these images like circulating through the Blackbirdiverse, it was putting me on to people I didn't know.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was like seeing images of people and I'm like, oh, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And that literally, I was following them on Instagram, and like I was like connecting with new people. Nicole was one of them. And I was just like, I was like, I don't know who this homie is. I don't know this homie. But it really had me fired up. And I remember going to all these new people's profiles and seeing their work. And that was thanks to you. And really, I felt like you did a really good job honoring these folks' spirit with your art. How do you approach that? Because that is difficult. You talked about being a white person and, you know, you're creating something for Black birders or Latino conservationists. Like, how do you approach honoring somebody's spirit through your art?
I try to really listen and make sure it has really nothing to do with me outside of it's something I'm able to do. I just try to make sure it's everything about the person I'm drawing. And it's like, this is going to be a perfectly safe space for them. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure they feel safe and that I make a safe space, not just for them in that moment, but all the time so that they can feel like it's okay that I represented them or put them in a space where I exist too, because it is entrusting who you are with someone else. And, you know, I don't really understand people that can't see other people and realize that everybody deserves to be here and everybody's amazing and has a potential. Like I kind of don't get it, but I don't understand it as a human. I'm like, a human is a human. We're here and each person should have access to all that's possible. And I just want to make sure that that's happening. I get that it doesn't, and society and systems are not making that possible. So I just want to make sure that I'm carrying that and I see that is our goal and our work to get to that. And so it's like keeping all of that in mind. And again, ensuring that I'm continuing to hold that correctly and safely for people as they trust me. Because I can sense how big of a leap of faith it is. And as I said, I'm honored that people have trusted me to carry that. And I see it as sacred and extremely valuable and important. And sometimes
that's really well put.
Take it after, like, okay.
Yeah, no. And I think the consistency, like just Dexter and I having known you for years now, that it's been consistent, right? I think when you said creating a safe space where not only they can see themselves, but they also see you in that space, and they know that space will be consistently a safe space for the both of you. Like, I think like that was some bars there, Casey. Like that was that was good. Like, because you know, I've not come across anything since where I'm like, oh, was Casey not the person that I thought they were in terms of how they express art for us? And I think that matters, right? That really matters, is just the consistency of the relationship and the reaffirming both ways of like, hey, we are here for each other. And I think that's a really beautiful part of it. Did you get any, just the last question on the portrait, did you get any interesting reactions from folks the first time they saw themselves depicted in your art?
Well, I did have somebody, when I drew the mammalogists, because that was a group image, not everybody agreed to do it. So I was drawing it for a couple people, and I had somebody that was not happy with their illustration. I felt so badly. And like, I think that they were nervous who I was because they didn't know. It was still really early. And I apologized and I said, I'm really sorry. We should not have done that. I should have asked you before going forward. They ended up okay, and they were fine with it being out there. Otherwise, I would have insisted it come down with how they had initially felt. But like, it also informed me of like, yeah, you really have to, it has to be individual people. It has to be an agreed upon thing where both people are happy with the end result. And it can't be something that's like that again. Yeah. I'm glad that they were okay with it in the end, and that, I don't know, I was able to express to them, I'm like, no, this is your alls. And if you needed to come down, that is fine. Like, I don't, this does not have to exist for me. This is for you.
Yeah. It's great to hear.
Yeah.
Great learning opportunity, and shout out to you for being conscious enough to, you know, be like, hey, this ain't about me. You know, I think that probably made the folks feel better as well, knowing like, hey, this artist is like, they'll take it down, you know, if you want, and really want to make sure that they were okay with it. So That's beautiful. All right, we're going to shift gears a little bit here. I really, on this show, we've talked about a lot of different things, mental health being one, and how birds or photography or art or different things create like these safe spaces for people to just kind of be who they are. And you've shared that you're an autistic artist, and I would love for you to speak about how does that shape the way you experience the world, especially in natural spaces?
It's interesting. I think it's changed over time. I don't know how much you want to bring up perimenopause, but man, that is a rough time. And it's a lot of changes. And I feel like it's spiked my autism sensory issues pretty badly. And it's taken me a minute to grasp what's happening, because like listening to bird sounds, they say it really calms you down, because there's this connect of like birds are singing. The world is safe right now because birds are out there being safe. Of course, I can hear when a Cooper's hawk comes in and they're scared. It's like, oh, I go on alert too, because I know there's a raptor around. But so I really relish in that time in the morning when it's quiet and I can sit with the birds. And I try to really be conscientious about making sure I'm attentive and present in calming myself down when it is still quiet and I can just hear the birds. As much as I live pretty far in the woods, it's not the woods. There are still people all around me, and they still have to do the human noises. And the human noises sometimes really stress me out, especially with how concerned I am about how nature is doing. And I try really hard to just like really, really pay attention to the time where nobody's doing stuff yet. Because there's a while where it's still very much just the birds for the most part, and like very minor amounts of sounds, like lawnmowers or chainsaws or any of those things. Like the woods is not a quiet place, actually. There's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah, I would imagine.
In the woods.
A lot of outdoor projects going on in people's yards inside the woods.
You talk about the sensory experiences. I'm just curious, how does drawing intersect with your sensory experience?
It's funny. I am in the basement. Basically, this is actually a closet, and this is where I draw and paint the most. I find I actually kind of have to tune out. Like if I'm sitting in front of a window, I'm going to look out the window. So I have to be really limited in how much I'm in a window space
easily
when I'm
distracted
drawing.
by birds. If you see me, I'm always like, is that a junco, homie? Is that the American goldfinch at the feeder right here?
Oh yeah.
I got a feeder like 3 feet away from me. Like this is, so I see like a shadow fly by and I'm like, what's on? Who is it?
Yep. I used to have a window, and that's exactly what I would do. And honestly, the bulk of my work would be at nighttime once everything was asleep, because then I could focus. I wonder if people think I'm paying attention, because when I'm in conversation, I'm like, I do not ignore the birds. I am still looking at all the birds. Like I'm still looking around. And I'm like, I promise I actually can hear you better because I'm looking at the birds too. My brain can hear you better.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about being around birders is you usually don't have to explain that to them. It's like they know that you're having a conversation and you're listening at the same time, which is it's a underappreciated aspect of having birding community. Because if I did that at work in the middle of a meeting with my VP and he saw me like looking up at the tree, he'd be like, oh my God, what is Jason doing? Let me ask, you mentioned, some of the human noises, right? That sometimes are a little overwhelming, but life in general can be overwhelming, right? And so what do you go to art to pull yourself back when life gets overwhelming? Does the art itself cause sometimes you to be overwhelmed? Like, what is that role that the art plays, especially because we were talking before the podcast, right? Sometimes you get commissioned to do stuff and that's work, right? Like it's planned work. So how does that work when your art is your work and your art is also probably a tool to help?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I don't know that art is therapy or like calming for me. It's work. Like I think about every time I draw, it is hard. I don't know that it's ever easy. Painting on leaves sometimes can feel slightly easy, but it's actually always hard. which I think
you make it look super easy, by the way. You make it look incredible. Like you make it look like butter. Like every time I look at one, I'm like, because I got no artistic ability. So just so you know, it looks great.
I can do a main stick figure. You know? I could do the little bird with the 2 swoops. I could do that.
That's the part, I guess, about art, because people ask me this, like, oh my gosh, is this just easy and love? And I'm like, it's so odd to me being an artist. I'm like, it's still work, actually. It's still hard. I don't know, maybe some artists, it just flows out of them, but it's always really complicated for me. And I don't know if it's something about the way because they say an autistic brain is like all the connections your brain makes, they never call. They're just all there. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just like my brain has to touch everything before it puts an image down. I have a friend whose child was having a hard time. Like, when a kid makes a poster and they have to draw words across the top, some kids, they start to draw it and then it gets squished and crushed in the side. Because it's like understanding that spatial thing is not for everybody. I still struggle with that myself. And I've been drawing for a really long time at this point. But my brain still bizarrely has a hard time balancing all that kind of stuff. And I mean, it's interesting, all the tools we have now to help us do that work more quickly. But we've always had tools to help us, even if that's not something that's, I don't know. They were saying you shouldn't say animal behaviors are natural. And I'm like, I don't know that art is necessarily natural. I think it's something we do to express ourselves. The fact that there have been cave paintings, representing what we're seeing, has always been important for humans. And I think that's the thing. It's for some reason, for me, making sure I'm representing what's in my head through an image is just vitally important. And I realized I'm not actually the best communicator with words. I'm finally trying to pay more attention to how I'm communicating with loved ones. And I'm like, I don't think that anything I really thought was clarified. And I'm realizing, so I feel like my art expresses my thoughts much better than I can with words. As I'm sitting here telling you all my thoughts with words.
No, it's great.
You've been doing great. I think your perspective, and that's what I love about this show is this is what we want. We want to hear this perspective. This is really important, in my opinion. I've met a few neurodivergent folks out birding, and they say they love being outside. They love just being in nature with folks. And I think it's that calming. And then we're not treating you differently. We're just observing the birds together. And I think just hearing your perspective on this, I think is going to be very helpful for a lot of people out there. And the way that you're expressing yourself today has been beautiful, in my opinion. So I want to say thank you for just being you on today's show, because this literally is warming my heart every time. Every segment is just thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because there are a lot of people out there that need to hear this. So thank you. So one thing I've learned after following you over the last few years, Casey, is giving back means a lot to you. You've supported our club. You've supported various Black birders and conservationists across with your work, your time, right? Time is the most valuable resource that we have. And you literally said sometimes it take you a long time to do these things, and it's hard. So that really means a lot. The fact that you give back and you put your money where your mouth is, you do the work, and it kind of shows up. Let's talk a little bit about some of the work you were doing in your hometown. After the hurricane, you had noticed that a great blue heron returned to the river. And in that moment, it kind of stuck with you. Can you walk us through what that felt like?
I'm don't want to cry. So we do live on the Swannanoa, which is one of the main rivers. It is the river that comes down from the North Fork Dam, which is the dam that did not fail, but it overtopped. And then that's where a lot of Asheville's water comes from. The Swannanoa wasn't filled in the same, it wasn't full for days like the French Broad ended up being, because that's the final place where all the water goes. But it was still really high for quite a few hours. And we could watch it. And it was way too much to watch. I was awake before everybody else was, and I watched one of our big trees fall, and that was really hard to watch, and I made everybody wake up. And then the storm part kind of stopped. We went and checked on our neighbors. They were okay. But then the river started rising because all the water started collecting. And that's when, the water was already roaring, but that's when things started hitting the trees, and the trees just went away. Like, just huge things were under the water, taking out all of the trees. I had to leave. I had to stop looking at it because it was too much to look at, to watch all of the river be stripped bare. Like, it was that's all the habitat. What will happen without all of the habitat? We are ridiculously lucky that our house is high enough up on a hill. The water did not touch our house. When we got the house, we had replaced this huge zone of land that had been like made into this fancy garden, fancy looking ornamental things. And we removed all of that, and we put in all native trees, and like birch trees and rhododendrons and hollies and serviceberries. And also we put in all these 9 barks. And there's this plant called river cane, which is a native bamboo looking plant. We've let all of that grow and spread its roots. And our riverbank looks fine. Like, it made it through all of that flooding because we've left all of these native plants, and we've been encouraging them to grow to the best of our ability. And also we just happened to have done luck of being on the eddy side of the river. So the river wasn't moving as fast on our side of the river. But like, watching all of that destruction and just being so fearful of how much was lost, to see the birds be back the next day. Like, it was the next day that we started being able to open our eyes to look around, and like to see that the great blue heron was still there and was still in the midst of all this loss, still hunting, still being able to use the river to find food. It just was like, if it can do it, we can too.
That hope. Ooh, you got.
Yeah,
I was like, this story, listen, boy. We talked about this before on this show about when we're going through something in life, how we could look at a bird that has migrated from South America, avoiding predators and storms, and made it here. And it's singing. Like, we've talked about this, right? About how we can find that hope in birds. And that was such a beautiful, the perfect example of that, amongst all this destruction, amongst all this worry and everything, that the birds can bring us back to this centering moment of hope. And that was beautiful.
Persistence, right? Because you got to think to yourself, what was that great blue heron doing during the storm? Yeah. Where was it hunkered down? Where was it finding safety? Where was it finding, not to anthropomorphize, but hope, right? Or like some expectation of survival. And all of that week, I could hear it in your voice, because it sounds like when you saw the heron, you were thinking about that heron relative to watching massive trees get ripped out of the ground, watching water just destroy things in people's homes. And then that thing is there and I got to say this because it gives me goosebumps, but the fact that you were there at that moment too, to look upon the bird. You two shared that moment, like the fact that you decided to walk to your window at that moment, or walk outside, or whatever you were doing, and look in that direction. That is really beautiful to me. And I understand that part of the work that you do, right, with a bunch of different organizations, that heron piece influenced the design of the sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. So like, how did you take all of that, and like, what did you want to indicate on the shirt, in terms of resilience and all that from that moment? I
was realizing as you were asked, I'm like, how did I look at that bird? Because I can't remember. That's another weird part of this is my memories are completely messed up now. Like my brain doesn't actually remember a lot of stuff that it did, not even just about the storm, just in general. I can't remember if I was outside or in my house looking at that bird, because the herons actually don't like us to get too close to them. They're nope, you're too close, and they'll leave. But I remember that it really stayed for a while. It didn't seem to be bothered by anything. So I think that probably is part of it. But also I've painted a lot of birds, and I vend locally most of the time, and people are always drawn to the herons too. I mean, it's a bird people can actually see, whether you're a birder or not. People really know the herons are there and that they are all along our rivers. So I think it just became a symbol of strength. And it is a big bird. Like that is a really humongous bird. And it's beautiful when it's flying.
Dino vibes, you know?
Yeah.
I will say when I drew that, I wasn't actually in the mountains. We did evacuate because water, electricity, wasn't clear how long that was going to be. And I have 2 kids, and a 16-year-old is really hard to feed on a limited situation. So we went and stayed with my brother during that time, and they were so gracious to keep us and just give me time. But because I was away, I did not know what to do with myself, because I was like, I need to be helping, and I am so far away. So it was amazing that Feminist Bird Club reached out to me and Kirsten and Rachel and Carly, who are my other co-leaders in the Western North Carolina group chapter of Feminist Bird Club, to see what they could do to help us. And we were discussing what artist to actually draw that, because it was not me first. I was like, who could do that? And then I don't really know why it didn't work with another person. And I was like, I can do it. I have time. I'm actually sitting here needing something to do. I'll draw this. So I drew that while we were finishing up being at my brother's house, which was good because, you know, he had power and internet and access. Although it did go through where he's in Savannah and the tornadoes went through where he lives. It was very strange to drive to his house because like there's like not power almost all the way down.
Well, it seems like you were meant to be the artist to take that on, because it was, you know, it really exceeded expectations. You all raised over $11,500. More than 500 sweatshirts were sold. What was your reaction when you saw those numbers?
I was very excited. I was like, oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad that resonated with so many people. My brain still doesn't process very well. Like, oh, people like this. Cause like I graduated in 2004, and it's been a long time of drawing and making artwork. So for it to have that reaction was very exciting. And I mean, anything to support Beloved Asheville, they do so much for those most in need in our community. Like it is just unbelievable how much they accomplish and give back, and how they hold people that have the most need here. I don't know. They're a fantastic organization locally.
And I got to say, for folks like that, as far as I can tell, the sweater is still for sale. Right, you can still go get it. We'll make sure to put it in the show notes and everything. And it's an incredible design. I want folks to imagine, because this is a podcast, but you have this beautiful great blue heron flying with mountains in the background, the sun coming up. There's some foliage around the edge of the frame. The bird is obviously coming down a riverway. You know, it really speaks to kind of a lot of what you talked about, this strength, this resilience, right? And the sun's still rising. You know, I assume the shirt is pointed east, but that part is really, really beautiful. So I encourage folks, when you get the link, to maybe go continue to support. For the artists listening, you've obviously had 2 really good examples here about contributing to communities in moments of crisis or moments of protest or whatever folks are trying to drive through. Do you have any advice for other artists out there, how they can contribute in moments like that without burning themselves out?
I would say always give yourself a lot of grace, like really pay attention to how you're feeling. Even with the portraits, like each year I would try and draw a few more people, and I really paced myself on that. And I would give myself like a whole day for each person, because it's not just drawing a person, it's holding the person for all of that. So just, I don't know, I've really appreciated the idea of like, how are you feeling on a 1 to 10 scale? It really helps me, because I don't know that I really understand how I'm feeling, and having that scale, it's like that way I can hone in on how am I feeling? Okay, I'm at a 4. That means I need to do something, because it just doesn't take that long to go from 7 to 10. So I like just really be give yourself a lot of time and space around it. Like you can put some time into work, but then do something. I mean, if art helps calm you down, then that's great. But if it doesn't, make sure you have some space to also do something else to help your mind settle down. Because like when you're doing work that is to support protests or devastation, like it is harder. Like it is a lot of more mental parts. I know I just want to give a shout out to the local artists that have recently been trying to protect our urban forest with Save the Woods. A group of artists just did a bat land where they all painted bats and then hung them up around the forest. And they've made a map to show where the bats are around the forest, just to talk about how important it is to maintain forest in an area that's urban so people can walk to it as opposed to having to drive somewhere, because not everybody has access to cars to get out. Because like, sure, there's a lot of hikes in Asheville, but they're mostly car accessible, whereas this is one that's walkable for people in Asheville. Yeah, I love that those artists have been doing that. And Save the Woods is this like big group effort here in Asheville.
Shout out to Save the Woods.
Yeah, for sure.
We appreciate everybody doing the work. And you're definitely working. Your life balance is art, family, science, education. What does balance look like for Casey right now?
I feel like I've gotten better at it. It took, I like, some people, I've tried to show how, they're like asking me this question, like, how do you do it? And I'm like 6 spreadsheets?
You're speaking Jason's language.
You got it.
It really helps.
Yeah, let me plug in some pivot tables here.
Yeah. I don't know. Like just being able to see that. Cause like, I think I get really nervous. Like, oh my gosh, I need to put in enough hours. Mm-hmm. So if I can see it, then I don't worry. And it's like not worrying takes away one other thing I have to do. Cause it's like, well, I know what got done. And then I can space out what I need to do. And then that other energy doesn't have to be there. I can just put the energy into getting the work done. And again, it really helps that my kids have finally gotten older.
That does help when they can feed themselves.
Helps a lot.
Great advice.
Yeah, great advice. Are there any projects or ideas you're excited to explore next? Art, birding, education, something we haven't talked about at all? I don't know.
Oh man, I want to draw my goal poster so much.
Oh yeah, let's go. Listen,
out, but I had to finish something else over the summer that took like all of the summer. As
soon as you got that goal poster ready to release, you let your boy know because we can slap that thing all over the internet.
I love goals.
I got a whole couple sections of wall in here too that I need to fill up. Yeah, please.
Your goal ambassador is right there.
Yes, I am here. I am at your service if you need me.
Awesome. Well,
goal poster coming soon.
Yeah. But as I said, I've got it sketched out. I'm hoping maybe I can draw it this month. I'm not 100% sure. Usually in February, the first week of February, I go to the Western Sections Wildlife Society annual meeting. And I'm a vendor there, which is so much fun because I get to nerd out with everybody's research.
Yeah.
Talk to everybody about what they're researching. Griff with Save the Redwoods last year.
Oh, nice.
He is a really awesome person talking about how they're protecting redwood forests out in California. So I don't know. It's like so much fun, but it also means I don't get to stop at the end of Christmas, like with all that type. I have to, I immediately cycle into, okay, but talking about balance, I'm like, I really not need to draw everything the week of Christmas to New Year's because like this year I got sick with the worst laryngitis I've ever had. And I'm like, how can I draw when I feel terrible?
All good. All right, Casey, this is our favorite part. It's going to be the lightning round. So off the cuff, off the top of the head, quick answers, and we will get through it. So I'm going to start sketchbook or loose paper.
I feel terrible. Remember that problem? Like I do love my iPad.
Hey, let's go. Audible.
If I'm going to use paper, I do kind of like the loose paper because a sketchbook, I want it to be perfect, and my perfectionism keeps me from actually drawing. So loose paper would be better because I can just throw it away. I especially love newsprint, like the paper that's come wrapped around something. I will iron that out and then draw on that. That helps me because it was garbage. So I'm drawing on that. It doesn't have any value.
All right. Morning creativity or late night creativity?
Both, for different things. Like the focused, okay, I know what I'm doing. And then late night, I don't know, both times are when people are quiet so I can draw stuff.
I totally hear that. All right.
Music, silence, or nature sounds?
I do like nature sounds. Realistically, I'm a podcast and book person.
All right. Same. Art made fast or art made slowly?
I don't know the time it takes. Sometimes it goes fast and sometimes it's really, really slow with lots of redos.
Your favorite thing to draw when nobody is watching?
Birds. They're just, I don't know, I really get them at this point, and it's really fun to draw birds.
I'm curious on this one. What is the hardest thing for you to illustrate?
I mean, everything is actually really hard to draw. I've been having a hard time with mammals, but like I can draw them. Insects are pretty hard. Like I love them, but they're I don't know why.
All right.
I'm having a hard time on those.
Finish this sentence. Art feels most powerful to you when it
is shared.
Shared. I love it.
All right. One word that describes your creative process.
Quirky.
All right, good. All right, you did it. You completed the lightning round. Well done.
Right. You survived. Casey, before we wrap up, if somebody's listening to this episode, they may be going through a hard season like you were before you started doing all the Blackbirders illustrations. What do you hope they take away?
Just keep going. Like don't give up and don't assume you know how it'll work out. If you go forward with your heart and are doing the best you can and going with your values and what you care about, what's meant to happen will happen. And that's really like trust in that. And like, you don't always know what it'll be that is the right thing. Better to just kind of roll with it.
Dropping bars. Oh,
I love
dropping bars. Well, Casey, this has been fantastic. We don't want to keep you longer than we need to. We know you got a lot going on, but thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your perspective on birds and your art with our listeners today.
Thank you for having me. I'm like, you guys are so amazing. I'm like, how am I sitting here with two rock stars?
You better stop it. You better stop it.
Bringing it all
sitting up here looking at your artwork on my wall, and I'm like, who is she talking about? Because I'm looking at this painted bunting on an oak leaf that looks like it was made by a god on Mount Olympus. Like, this thing looks amazing. So thank you again, Casey. You are fantastic. And Dexter and I know a lot of other folks in our community very much appreciate your support and the work that you put into kind of standing with us, especially for those of us that do celebrate Blackbirders Week. So thank you. And hope you're well.
And I want to thank everybody for listening today. Don't forget to share, subscribe, share this episode with the artists in your family or anybody. I especially love that we got to hear Casey's perspective as an autistic artist today on a Bird Joy podcast, because birding is for everyone. And as we say, Jason, Bird Joy is for everyone.
Let's go. See y'all later.
Peace.
Thank you all.